Hi everybody, Golden Era Bookworm here. Today I've received a wonderful hardcover edition of Mr. America, written by John D. Fair. Mr. America, the tragic history of a bodybuilding icon, with a wonderful, beautiful photo of Steve Reeves on the cover with what appears to be a weight plate, but as if he's actually going to throw a discus. Now this book I found out about through reading Muscle, Smoke and Mirrors. And it's a hardcover edition available on Amazon.com. And flicking through it briefly just now, I realized that it's more than just the Mr. America. It actually deals with the history of bodybuilding altogether. And I really think it's going to be a fantastic read, just like on par with the Muscle, Smoke and Mirrors books that Randy Roach came out with. Now if we look at the contents page, we'll just actually start scrolling through the book. I already had to have a little peek myself. There you go, the price is about 35 bucks, as I said, available on Amazon.com. It's dedicated to Terry and Jan Todd, who are obviously the, I hate to say it, Terry passed away, but Jan Todd right now currently runs the Stark Center in Austin, Texas. And written in 2015. Now, you can see from the contents, which I'll now zoom in for you briefly so you can read it and make sure the focus is right. There we are. It's got 3 parts. It's about 450 pages long, and we start off with the Greek ideal, the athletic body. And these are the precedents. So I guess it's going to maybe talk a little bit about the history of physical culture, but it really does go straight into the golden age, which many refer to at the time of the 40s and of course the 50s and 60s. A lot of people actually refer to the golden era of bodybuilding, the time pre-steroids. And a lot of people refer to the 70s and onwards, the decline of bodybuilding. These are people that I guess, I completely understand why they refer to this period as the decline. And I mean, as much as Arnold Schwarzenegger is seen as one of the greatest icons of the sport and a true ambassador of the sport, there are those that actually see the rise of Arnold as the decline of the sport, because in many ways I can understand it, and it has to of course do with the fact that steroids came into the game, and really the shift changed, didn't it? I mean, as soon as the likes of Arnold Schwarzenegger, Lou Ferrigno and all the other waiter boys came in and took over, really, I mean, you've got to understand this is the point where pumping iron came out and bodybuilding was finally accepted in the public eye. And it only became accepted in the public eye literally when steroids also came into the picture. This is the kind of dividing factor. A lot of people, this is where you have people on, sitting on two sides of the fence. Everyone agrees at the time before the steroids came in, it was great. I mean, you had such wonderful physiques like Steve Reeves, Reg Park, etc. But after that, after the 60s, you have the advent of steroids. There are those that think that the bodies that came out in the 70s were even better. And yes, there was a bit of steroid use. And of course, there are those that believe that the sport went into its initial stages of its decline. But that's just another topic. I'm just going through quickly the contents of this book. But yeah, if I just quickly flick through it, that's the initial part of it. So it does talk about the history. I'm seeing George F. Jowett. Oh God, my cat's being annoying. Sorry, I just got rid of my cat. And if we continue looking through the book, we realize, of course, that I'm really glad actually that we see quite a lot of history here on physical culture. Here is the world's most handsome man, Charles Atlas. We see photos of Bernard McFadden, and I'm assuming, yes, Eugene Sandow. So we do see some of the history of the physical culture. And of course the beginnings of the Mr. America contest. We have John Grimmick here. I just read about it. And yeah, the first Mr. America contents. Let's quickly flick through that. Yeah, and of course the part 3, the decline for the age of Arnold. But yeah, we've got some really, it's a really good book. I can already just tell. Like, the quality of the paper is fantastic. The printing is really cool. Here we have Larry Scott. Oh yeah, this is a very controversial. These are some very controversial competitions as well. This whole thing about Harold Poole versus Larry Scott. It's something I'd love to cover myself. Yeah, it's just... you can see he talks about the 60s and stuff. I can imagine that it's very similar to Muscle, Smoke and Mirrors. The difference, I guess, is that I don't know if the author, John D. Fair, has actually done the interviews that Randy Roach did. I know that the book from Randy Roach, Muscle, Smoke and Mirrors, wow, that's Melvin Wells. He truly was a genetic freak, wasn't he? It's amazing. Amazing physique for a 1949. It's incredible. This is 1949. Damn, look at that physique. It's just fantastic. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I don't know whether John Fair actually did interviews, and Muscle, Smoke and Mirrors is kind of a mixture of really the history of bodybuilding through literature, confirmed and discussed through interviews as well. So I mean, Randy Roach's books are fantastic. Let's look at part 3. So as you can see, it goes through the history of physical culture, the 30s and 40s with John Grimmick, Melvin Wells, Bill Pearl, and of course the 70s. Here we have wow, there's a lot of references. Yeah, I mean, what have we got here? What have we got here? Yeah, I mean, the age of the maths monsters, right? I mean, I don't necessarily like this era of bodybuilding right now. I think it's grotesque, but that's my opinion. And yeah, it's not many pictures actually. That's Wayne Galash, who actually interviewed recently. Yeah, and you can see this is a very good picture. It really does summarize the direction that bodybuilding was taking. It wasn't necessarily any more about lines and you know, for women's bodybuilding as an example, accentuating femininity. If anything, women were encouraged to become more and more like men. I mean, no wonder women's bodybuilding went down the toilet. It just became a freak show, just like the men's show is now. And yeah, I can just see it's all about the history of bodybuilding and the downfall, really, of bodybuilding as it stands today. And there's, of course, famous photos of Arnold Schwarzenegger with Betty Wader on his shoulders. So yeah. What can I say? I'm really looking forward to reading this book, Mr. America, The Tragic History of a Bodybuilding Icon, how it went truly from the appreciation of aestheticism, health, strength, as it was practiced in the bronze and silver era, and to what it, yeah, I guess it began to decline. It almost reached its peak, you could say, in the 60s and 70s, and then just went, didn't it? So can't wait to read the book. I love the colors, you know, the whole blue, red and white, of course, symbolizing the United States, America. Looking forward to reading this book, indeed. If you've enjoyed this quick little peek at Mr. America, The Tragic History of a Bodybuilding Icon, please give the video a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't to the Golden Era Bookworm. Leave me your comments, and thank you for watching. As always, these acquisitions, the books that I get, the knowledge that I learn will always be passed on to my channel. That's the whole point of this channel. It's a growing library on physical culture, and I do hope that I can share all this knowledge with the world. If you want to support my research, my work, please donate via PayPal. That's one method. You can become a patron. You can go to my website, www.goldenerabookworm.com, where I have lots of books, self-written as well as out of print, on old school bodybuilding, and of course get in touch if you wish to collaborate. Hope you've enjoyed the video. This is the Golden Era Bookworm saying bye for now.